Hi, everybody. Welcome to Preventative Maintenance. This is episode 2. I'm John the Machine Davis, and today's guest will be an old pal of mine, probably the 10th wonder of the world, Mr. Brandon Ferguson. If you don't know him, you're about to. Let me bring him in here for everybody. There we go. What's up, Ferg? How you doing tonight?
Hey, how are you, my man?
Glad for you to come over and be the first live guest in studio, in garage, whatever you call it. So, I've known Ferg since junior high when he first ducked under the 7th grade door. We were going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff and really hopefully get into some conversations that people enjoy. So how have you been? Just basic concept.
Yeah, good, man. Just working my ass off, just taking care of my girl, got dogs and whatnot, just getting after it, man.
Doing the blue collar thing. What kind of work are you doing right now?
So I'm an IBW operator. I run heavy equipment for them. Do a lot of transmission line work and things of that nature. And just mostly running heavy equipment, dozers, hose, things of that nature.
Hell yeah, I get it in. That's the blue collar. Any preventative maintenance on those things?
Oh yeah, that's what makes your money. If your machine goes down, you're down. So maintenance is key. So it really plays into that. That's the whole aspect of the foundation of this.
Yeah, that's the key with the preventative maintenance. It's easy to bring in for the blue collar guys on top of all the other aspects I like to talk about with it. But so how long have you been working blue collar jobs?
Since I got out of school, man. It's all I've ever known. My dad was that way, and his dad before him, and it works. School really wasn't the best thing for me, and I've always loved being outside, and it's just kind of played right into what I was into, and I wouldn't trade it anything else. I get to be outside all day, but it has its ups and downs with weather and things like that, but I wouldn't trade it.
That's a subject I'll touch back on. We'll say school. I remember, many moons ago, you suffered an injury that probably was a bit life changing. So hopefully it's not too deep of a cut to bring up. But
yeah.
How big of an effect did that knee injury that you had back in the day really curve the course of where your life went at that point in time?
Yeah, man. So it played a big role. It basically put me a year behind of everyone else. Like on my peers, it sat me down. I think I was on crutches for probably 4 months, and then light activity, just trying to rehab as much as I can 3-4 times a week, or even more most of the time, trying to prepare to go play college ball. And even still, it was grueling, but it definitely set me back from kids my age going into that next level just through all the rehab process. Because it was an ACL and meniscus tear, and with the way that they repaired it with the patella tendon, it was the strongest way, but the longest.
Yeah,
it was brutal. It took a very physical toll on me, and also the mental, man. That being bowed up in the house for weeks and months on end, out of school for months, and yeah, it was rough for sure.
That's where I was going to go next. I know it was really, really physically demanding for you to come back because, a lot of that I didn't even know the extent of everything you had to deal with. So, that's news to me. What do you say that it changed you even getting into college at first?
So my avenues that I had potential taking definitely diminished. I had offers from a multitude of different schools, and that quickly diminished once they found out that I had a pretty catastrophic injury in the very last game of our senior year. And it just made a lot of coaches weary about what my future held, and rightfully so. As a grown kid and having a catastrophic injury like that, that's just the game they took. But I'm not mad about where I ended up. I enjoyed Youngstown State, and it definitely took a toll on me. It set me back for sure.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I remember watching the unfortunate moment of it happening. It wasn't even. It wasn't
contact.
Yeah, you were pretty much in
open
space by yourself on the opposite side of the field from the play, and you just went down. So yeah. It
was kind of my mistake. We had played the rain game the week before, and one of the things I think that played into it was having the longer 3/4 inch spikes from the week before that I hadn't changed out. And I just made a plant, and the top half kept going while the bottom half of my leg stayed still, and things went pop.
Yeah, that's crazy of how, you can kind of figure out that such a small thing as having different size spikes in the front of your shoe really, is what caused the damage in the long run.
Yeah. That's a sound I won't forget.
But I can definitely relate in a few aspects. The shoulders have not treated me well over the years, and I did dislocate my knee not that long, a while ago. So I know moderately the feeling. I was lucky to walk away from that one. But this isn't about me today. Would you say that the mental aspect of once you were physically healed up and knew you were, pursuing sports again, was it harder to really get that mindset back of knowing you were going in 100%?
Yeah, because it never really leaves your mind. You're always worried about, man, is it going to happen again? So like, you feel like you're giving 100%, but are you really, out of the fear of having another bad injury like that again? And it just always stuck with me. It was super weird and how it had that mental effect on me and influenced the way I played. Always cautious, taking the right step, trying to make sure your footwork's right. But it did make me work harder, that's for sure, but trying to recover and heal it appropriately.
Almost like a rainy day cloud that just kind of was always cast over you.
Yeah, for sure.
That's got to be rough, especially, at such a young age, because if I remember correctly, you were on the younger end of all of us.
Yeah, because I was, my birthday's in July, so I was usually the baby of the class. There was only a handful of kids that I was much older than. Yeah,
it's crazy how you wouldn't think something like that might have that long. Do you still think about it today when you're doing stuff as much, or has that kind of subsided?
I definitely refrain from doing like I love playing basketball and things like that, but I don't ever do it any kind of like competitively, just mostly I can't get hurt for work. I can't, it's not that I can't afford to, but I just don't want to be bowed up and not be able to work and provide and things like that. And so I kind of refrain from it, but with my recent transition back into fitness, it's stronger than it's ever been. It gives me zero problems. I mean, my ligaments are joint. It's strong now. So I probably could perform, but it's just not a risk I'm willing to take.
No, I feel it. Definitely, like you're saying, you're getting back into fitness. You're a physical specimen. For the folks, how tall are you?
I'm 6'9".
Yeah, so you are definitely again the 10th wonder of the world, as I'll say before. But would you say that the transformation you've gone through recently, I don't know what your physical weight's at right now, but I know you told me the other day you've lost quite a bit of weight, and obviously you're a large person in general, so your numbers are always going to be higher than most. But how much would you say you've lost, and then the amount of time?
So I got real serious just under 2 years ago, about a year and 10 months or so. I was unhealthy, eating like crap, not doing pretty much anything physical, just besides like my outdoor stuff. But other than that, I mean, my job is not physically demanding. I sit in a chair the majority of the day. And I mean, I was over 400 pounds. I was like about 405. And right now I'm sitting just under 300 pounds. But I would say my total fat loss is at well over 100 pounds because I've put on some decent amount of tissue in that time period as well with the resistance training.
That's great. I'm happy to hear that for you. And it's also super crazy, because, like I said, you're a larger fellow, so the numbers are always going to be a bit different. But to see that drastic of a change, and like I said, you look great. You look freaking like a goddamn beast. So
thank you.
That's awesome. What kind of mentality did you really get into? We'll say in the process of when you were on the unhealthy side. How was the mental space then when all that was going on?
It was it was piss poor, man. I mean, my joints were just like my ankles were swelling up, just crazy water retention, and just I mean, to put it bluntly, I just was just kind of disgusted with myself. The fact that I'd let myself go, because I spent my whole life, younger days, being active with sports. I was always in pretty good shape. I've always kind of struggled with carrying some extra pounds around, but to let myself to get to that, I mean, it definitely had me in a kind of like dark space for sure. But that kind of helped be as fuel at the same time to get out of it.
Had to get through the dark to find the light. You know, I can relate to that. There was a point in time my knees were swelling up. I stopped weighing myself at like 272, so I probably hit 300 pounds at a certain point. And I couldn't get out of bed. My knees were swelling up, bro. Like I couldn't walk. I was barely making it to work. I was, and it's the inflammation. Yeah. It's one thing that, is new news to us, probably from everything that's coming out today. Like we didn't keep track of inflammation stuff back then. That wasn't even a word. You heard something was inflamed and you thought some shit was on fire.
Take an aspirin or something.
Yeah, right. Take an ibuprofen and go lay down.
Yeah, just rub some biofreeze on it.
But once that transition in your mind started for you to make the physical transition, how did you start building yourself back up?
So just the biggest thing that I drove into myself was just discipline, because like the motivation, I know it sounds cliche, but the motivation, it comes and it's very fleeting. It goes away quick. To even on your bad days, to dig into the depths and just force your ass to get into the gym and just do something. I mean, it's shit. I kind of lost my train of thought.
No, you're good. It happens. I do the same thing all the time. Yeah. Getting back in the gym, getting that mindset right.
Yeah, like getting into the mindset of it. I mean, just like, social media plays a big role into it. Obviously, in our day, like with this day and age, you see these influencers or whatever just getting big, and it kind of just like lit a spark and made me think about like, what am I truly capable of? Because like with the injury, it kind of knocked me back, and it was kind of like a dead weight I always carried, and it always kind of held me back a little bit, and I never felt that I truly reached my full potential of what I'm able to achieve with my physical vessel.
It's a bit of a crutch to lean on, because no matter what, like you said, when you're doing anything, you're like, oh, well, I had this injury. It plays a factor for the rest of my life, which yes, it absolutely does. But now you've come very far to show and prove that you can battle through that. And
now
like you said,
hundreds of pounds on a bar on my back and doing it for reps. Like,
hell yeah,
you can't overcome it. It's hard to find that grit to dig down deep and push past those mental barriers, because that's all at the end of the day, most of the time, that's what it is a mental barrier. Your physical capabilities far supersede what your brain tells you that you can.
That's that preventative maintenance that I'm really talking about. You could easily have just stayed in the spot you were at. And like a lot of people, we know where we come from, especially in the blue collar world, you could have just, continued that spiral downward. Yep. You could have done, gotten lost in the food or whatever else things that, ailed you at the time to get you to that point. Yeah. And then, to get yourself back out, and then now really be, an example. This is why part of why I wanted to have you come on here is you as myself also were an example for people who, if they just see a clip of you and I talking about this, I could help them. I've had a few people from back in the day from school reach out and say that once they saw me, they started working out. You remember John McNichol? Shout out John McNichol. He sent me a message one day and was like, I started working out again, bro. I saw you out there. That's great. And I'm like, you remember who I am, and you don't have a bad thing to say about me right now. That was my biggest thing. I was waiting for like, oh, you stole my lunch money or something crazy that I did back in the day. And that would have been the end of it. But, people need to hear from, not that we're regular Joes, but that's
But I'm not anything special.
Well, neither am I. But to hear from regular Joes as well, I'll call us at the moment, that, to come back from where we've been and fight through those depths, because I know, myself, I've had troubles with other things than my weight, fighting through that stuff and getting yourself in a clear space is not always easy. And like you said, you have, your old lady. Has she really been helpful in this?
Dude, she's the rock, man. I mean, she has supported me all through this. I mean, obviously, she tells me, I love you the way you were before now and even more now. But I mean, yeah, she's been there for me. She helps with cooking my meals, and I'm eating weird as compared to her. So like she's helping. She don't mind making 2 separate dinners, but yeah, man, she's been there for me big time and played a very pivotal role. I mean, just even the simple stuff, doing the laundry for my gym clothes all the time and going through sets and socks and gym shorts and stinky, sweaty cutoffs and stuff like that, man. I mean, it's something, a lot of times it goes unnoticed, like in the grand scheme of things, it kind of gets pushed to the side, but man, I couldn't be more appreciative of the things that she does for me to help see me along this process and motivate me and tell me she's proud and things like that. I mean, it goes a long ways, and even though it seems fleeting, but it definitely plays a big role for sure.
That's awesome. I'm super happy to hear that.
She's a good girl.
I can relate to that also. I have my own family here, my support system that backs me. And like you said, those little things can easily get swept under the rug, and you can forget in a few weeks of that continuously going. And also what people forget as the blue collar guys, you come home with a dirty ass set of clothes, and then you're putting on another set of clothes that you're getting even dirtier. So sometimes I'm showering before and after workouts to get the work stank off of me, and then you come in, and even if you work out with the work stank on you, then the gym clothes are double duty. You're throwing a couple extra Tide Pods in there to make sure that nothing's growing inside of there.
A little extra bleach.
No, that's awesome though. I'm super happy for you. Since you're getting to a point where things are a lot better, where do you see this journey continuing?
I don't see any end in sight. It's kind of like a decision I made to where we just have good days. I mean, every day we put our socks and shoes on, and it's just, this is the way of life now. I don't foresee myself ever falling back into that way, because the way I felt mentally and physically was just so piss poor. I don't ever want to go back to that. So this is just, it's the new norm. And like, I can't say I have any real big specific goals. Like, I don't have any interest in like doing any kind of like bodybuilding competitions or things like that. I've been tossing around the idea of getting into some combat sports and things like that. I've even mentioned to you about maybe entertaining.
If I got the 6'9", 10th world wonder on Power Slap, ooh boy!
I'm entertaining it, but I mean, no real anything set in stone. It sounds cool in thought, but I haven't really put any too much concrete thought into it. What's next to come with it? But I'm in my prime now. I'm 30, and it's good just to be on the good straight and narrow now.
No, that's awesome, especially because like, if you were to almost identify an end goal, and you were to reach it, that could really kind of damper and hinder your ability to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So, leaving that an open question as to where the direction is you're going, I feel like that's a good way to really, again, as long as you keep that grind going, like you said, those days you don't want to get out there, even just doing one push-up or one sit-up to get it started, because every day is not easy to go out there and put in that much effort, because I don't know about you, especially from where we come from, doing simple little workouts, it's not satisfying.
No.
You really, for me personally, I have to push it to an extreme to really get, I'd say I'm an adrenaline junkie for the most part. Chasing that dragon, so that way it's not a different dragon.
Yeah, I hear you there.
But
because intent, and that's like just like my thing. Like, it's like when it comes to being in the gym, I mean, intensity is my driver. I mean, that's, you just going in there, just go animal on the set. I mean, you can kind of calm down in between, but when you're in the moment, it's all about just tenacity and that intensity for it, for sure.
Really, really getting to let it out, because, you know, you hear the stories of the guy who's our age now, still wearing his Letterman jacket down at the bar with his with his hair disappearing, talking about, you know, Uncle Rico style. If Coach would have put me in.
The good old days.
Yeah, the good old days. And you're like, I don't know how good they were, but they're definitely old.
They were days.
You know, the getting that, you know, it's hard because, like, people really don't want to be stuck in that era. But also, when, like you said, you grow up always doing some sort of competitive sport, and then once you get out, you know, you don't have anything to go do.
Yep.
And you can easily get lost. You know, how long did you make it in college ball? I'm not 100% sure.
Just over a year. Yeah, just between the injury aspects, my head wasn't in it. Just some issues along the way. I just kind of veered off course. I lost the drive for it, and the focus just wasn't there, and it just kind of led me down to not so good paths and just got me away from it. Which, I mean, I definitely don't have any regrets. But it is what it is. I mean, life's life, man.
It's part of your story, and it's part of what made you who you are today. You know, I know myself, I struggled with, you know, dealing with the drugs and alcohol stuff, because even what a lot of people may not know is, like, on those younger days, myself, high school sports, I was pissing it all away because I was having too much fun partying. And then as time carried on, there's no more, oh, I'm not getting messed up today because I've got practice. It's 6 a.m. starting the day off with, you know, whatever it is that your demon is that you're bringing with you that day, whether it's getting drunk before work or whatever you know, fall into. And it really takes a toll on you, like you said, until one day you're looking in the mirror and you don't know who the hell you are anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I was smoking a pack of cigarettes a day playing college football, not making good decisions. Not making good decisions.
Yeah, a pack a day will keep the doctor on the field with oxygen.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not blaming it on the injury, but I mean, it plays a factor for sure. It led me down some dark avenues in my brain and just making piss poor decisions, man. And yeah, I mean, but it shaped me who I was. I met a lot of cool people along the way, even at Youngstown State for the short amount of time. That's where I met my fiance at, was while I was there. And no regrets, for sure.
Would you say that you really dealt with anything, you know, mental health wise before the injury that you had an issue with?
Just teenage angst. Yeah. I can't really say nothing too memorable. Heartbreaks. And
I remember one. We won't bring that up.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, other than that, no, not really. I mean, I think I had some head trauma in playing ball. I had a pretty bad concussion senior year, and I feel like that could be definitely a pivotal factor in some of the ways that, like, how my brain developed. And I was always a head first kind of guy playing football.
Yeah, I would say that's one thing that a lot of us definitely had to deal with. You know, I don't know if you recollect the time that we came in and I had pulled my practice pants off and sat down on the bench, and I did not remember what was going on until everyone was gone, and you walked over and put your hand on my shoulder and was like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I was like,
"You there, brother?"
What? Huh? And everybody was gone, you know? And again, it's not like we're playing the blame game on stuff. It's just the reality of what the situation was, you know? Like, people don't think about, you know, for me personally, people want to talk about, oh, you're getting slapped in the face and getting knocked around. Yeah, well, bro, I've had more head trauma from sports when I was a kid than I have now. Yeah. So, like, you know, it was, again, a pivotal moment where you can look at in your life and be like, oh, it's no wonder we might have had issues with certain things, because it's not like anybody was neglecting us or telling us to push through it. Well, at least that I can recollect, but more so, you know, you want to be a tough guy and you want to keep going. And like you said, you're head forward and you wanted to really prove a point, but also you don't realize the, you know, the damage that you could possibly be doing to yourself, you know.
That has long-term effects on it.
Yes, especially with the mood stuff, you know, like it can really mess with a lot of guys. And I feel like that's per person. A lot of people are going to be built different and be able to hang with that, and some aren't. You know, I feel like you and I probably were able to deal with it, and even though if it did cause any issue in time, it subsided for the most part. And like my personal issues come from a whole bunch of other shit other than getting bonked in the head. So that's not just the one to look at. Yeah, we're like an onion. We're like ogres. We're like an onion. There's layers.
Yeah, well, I'm like an ogre, all right.
Well, yeah, you truly are. I guess I forgot about that. Just remember for me to not stumble into your swamp.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's not an excuse, but I mean, it's just factors in the grand scheme of things for sure.
So, you know, all of that being said, you know, what do you think is really going to be your next pivotal moment in the future? You know, like obviously you're engaged, so you'll be getting married sometime in the near future. You know, how do you think that'll play a factor for, you know, you and your now fiance?
I think it's just the next stepping stone for sure. We don't really have, like, kids really are on the menu. Never really been real super interested into having my own kids. It allows me and her to, I mean, not to sound cliche, I mean, we live our best lives. We do whatever we want. We go on vacations. I mean, we're best friends. So, I mean, there's nothing more I look forward to than to hanging out with her. I mean, I got to spend a lot of time with my friends as well, doing degenerate activities. But yeah, man, I mean, marriage is definitely next. I'm not completely sure. We had originally planned to do it this year, but we kind of had some things come up and had to kind of adjust.
Life.
Dumb purchases on my end. Just money and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I really look forward to the future with her for sure. I mean, she is my best friend, and I look forward to it a lot.
That's awesome. You know, and if you ever need to borrow kids to mess around, I got a couple of them right here, dog.
Yeah, I get my dose with my nephew. I get a couple days with him, and I'm like, yeah, this is why. Go back to your mom and dad.
Oh, well, that's awesome. You know, I don't want to keep you too long. I appreciate you coming out.
Absolutely.
It was great to sit down and do this. I'll definitely have you back on again in the future. You know, maybe we can even start something of our own if you're ever interested.
Yeah, man, that's for sure.
You know, any shout outs to the folks out there, friends or family, go ahead and throw that out there.
Yeah, man. Shout out to my girl, Catherine. I don't know.
You're good. I'm just giving you the option.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, but that's what's going to be episode 2 of Preventative Maintenance today. Super pumped to reconnect with you and really get, you know, not so much in depth on everything, but some good conversation with some solid topics that are really, you know, I hope people can relate with.
Yep.
And then in the future we can, you know, elaborate on and kind of move forward. You know, all the best to you. I'm glad you're doing well, and I hope it's nothing but good news and to the top from here.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's good to catch up with you.
Awesome, dude. It was good talking to you. This has been Preventative Maintenance with John the Machine Davis, Brandon Ferguson, 10th World Wonder, as I'll call him. And everyone, appreciate you for tuning in, and have a great day.